All right, Joe Benigno with you here. It is the Oh the Pain podcast. It is Monday, June the 7th, 2022. And let me just get my sponsors in here before I bring my distinguished guest in here. And the Joe Benigno Oh the Pain podcast, of course, brought to you by the Hackensack Brewing Company, by KZ Sports Marketing, by Beach Camera, by Anita Tire, Anita Discount Tires, and by the Blue Hill Golf Course in Pearl River, New York. And joining us right now, really one of the great special team coaches of all time, 30 years in the NFL, mostly with Miami and the Jets. Had some terrific years with those teams as a special teams coach. He's got his book out now. It's called Figure It Out, his 30 years as a special team coach in the NFL. And that, of course, is Coach Mike Westhoff. Coach, how are you?
Joe, I'm doing great, thank you. I'm doing great down here in Florida. Things are good. So I've been busy, promoting my book
Right.
that I wrote. You can get it on through the publisher right now, which is mascotbooks.com, and you just put in the title of the book, Figure It Out. They'll deliver it right to your house. Or July 12th, it'll be released everywhere: Barnes and Noble, Amazon, anywhere. So it's been fun to talk about. I'm very proud of it, and it's an interesting story to tell. So it's been thanks to people that have shown some interest in it, and I'm going to go all over and do it. So something that I had a lot of fun to do.
All right, well, give us a little feel of the book. Obviously, you got all those years in the National Football League. I mean, you dealt with so many great players, so many great coaches. You were Don Shula for a long time. Just give us a little feel about what it's all about, Coach.
Yeah, sure. It's something that I always wanted. I always felt that I would do. I have a master's degree in education psychology, and I liked the whole philosophy of what goes on in coaching. I like that. I enjoy it. And how you have to take what you have and figure it out and turn it into something productive. I got into this part of it very much by accident. But as I did it, I realized there was a good story to tell. I've always believed that. And so I believed coaching was a lot more, and particularly in the NFL, than someone just telling me, get the best guy. Well, yeah, you'd like to have the best guy, but what if you don't? I mean, I didn't have Devin Hester. Yeah, I didn't have him. I didn't have Deion Sanders. But yet in New York, I had nine different football players that led the NFL in returns. So I don't care who I had. Figure it out. That's what I did. So I love the story. And it started back, when I was a kid growing up in Pittsburgh. I grew up in a just kind of a working class neighborhood. I grew up in a row house, when I was young, and the things that I went through, it was a tough time. You had to figure it out. You had to kind of learn how to fight, and I did. And then I needed to get a football scholarship, and we moved to a suburb. And here I am, young. I was young. I was a year young for my class. Not anybody's fault. My mom and dad didn't know. And so I had to learn how to figure it out. I got a scholarship, and then went on, and next thing you know, I got into coaching, and how I did that. And then as it developed, and I had a chance to go in the National Football League. That in itself is an incredible story. So there were lots of things that went with it. And all of a sudden, I'm at Miami. I'm at the Miami Dolphins with Don Shula, Dan Marino, and all those guys. And so, but here's a football team built around, as you remember well, Dan Marino.
Absolutely.
All of our resources are thrown to Dan. Well, okay. Now all of a sudden, I've got a wide receiver. I mean, he's a great guy for Dan, but now I got to put him on a kickoff coverage team. So I better figure it out, or I'm going to get killed because I don't have the best guy. So I had to become creative. And that story was what I think the mantra that I lived with through my career, and made it really a worthwhile story to tell. So the book follows that direction, and it goes through all these different times. But it also covers a part of NFL football that started in relative obscurity. Back in 1982, there were no special teams coordinators. The job was divided on a staff. Coaching staff was small. And we didn't have all those guys. Like last Thursday, I went over to Miami. I was with Dan Marino. I went over to watch their practice. They're in a mini camp. It was a beautiful new facility, gorgeous. Well, when I first went with Coach Shula, we had 7 coaches, maybe 8. They have 29.
Huh.
This all changed.
Crazy. And a new head coach as well. They got a new head coach down in Miami too.
Sure. So, I was part of this development, and you had to figure it out. So I thought it would always be a pretty good story to tell. And that's exactly what I did.
Coach, before we get to, I want to get to the Miami years, obviously the Jet years, because you were with the Jets in some of the better, really some of the glory days of the Jets, from 2001 to 2012. But we talked a little off the air. You were with the Colts when they made the move, when Irsay made the move from Baltimore to Indianapolis, basically with the moving company leaving overnight. I mean, how crazy was that? Tell us a little bit about that situation.
If you remember, I was at Baltimore. I went there with Frank Bush in 1982, and I had a sundry of jobs, of which I didn't do any of them very well. I was a strength coach. I was a special teams coach. I was a tight ends coach. I was assistant offensive line. I was assistant head coach. I did all that. I didn't know anything. But the city of Baltimore was in a major transition. Economics had been a little bit of a blight. Some of the big steel mills, Sparrows Point, they had kind of closed. There had been a big textile industry. It had backed off. The stadium was 100 years old. They basically had the lowest non-shared revenue in the NFL. The TV money shared equally. But there's other things that are divided up. Well, they just weren't there. So the rumor was out that we'd be looking to move. The first one that everybody thought we were going to go is that we were going to move to Phoenix. Frank Kush, the old Arizona State guy,
right.
And we would go there. Then Jacksonville came into the picture. Memphis was along the line, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All these places were talking about trying to get the Colts to move. All right. Indianapolis, with the Lilly Drug Company, built the Dome. So they had a nice stadium.
The Hoosier Dome at that time.
It was there. The Dome, the old Hoosier Dome.
Yep.
It was nice. So that was a rumor that we'd be moving there and doing that. We didn't know for sure. No one knew. The owner's son, Jimmy Irsay, came around to our offices during the day and said to me, Mike, stick around a little bit tonight. We're going to have a meeting at like 6 o'clock. Okay. Well, I stuck around, went to that meeting. Most of the building left and went home. And there were a handful of us in that meeting, coaches, 2 equipment guys, 2 film guys, 2 trainers. Believe me, not very many. And they said, the trucks are on their way. We're moving tonight. It's coming tonight. That's the first time we knew.
Right. You didn't even know where you were going. Did you even know where you were going at that point? You didn't even know, right?
He told us at that meeting, we're going to Indianapolis.
Okay.
Mayflower Moving Company was headquartered there, and all their trucks rendezvoused, and then one by one they would come in. They had big boxes for us in our offices. They downstairs to get these boxes, pack everything, label it, and be ready to go. But they were on their way. The city of Baltimore owned the franchise, the building that we were in. So in order to get everything out, our draft records, all of our material, we had to go at night because it started the next day. They could lock the door and we have nothing. So the truck started to pull in and we just packed everything. They picked up a group of manpower workers and they came in like a swarm of locusts and they took everything. They told us take everything in the office except the phone, leave the phone on the floor. So people that had worked there for 20 years walked in the next day, everything they had was gone.
Wow.
Everything. Their personal items, they were gone. And because they had to get out and they get out and move. And then of course the people found out because they saw the trucks. So then the word got out. I remember that night I was trying to go home and they were blocked the gate. And I got out of my car and I made it very clear. I said, guys, this isn't my idea. I just work here and I'm going home. So get out of the road. Leave me alone. I'm going home. I had to pack a weight room. I was a strength coach. It was raining. All my weights got rusted. They got half ruined. So, but anyway, we packed up and went to Indianapolis. And Indianapolis was just tremendous. they treated us great. They built a little facility for us. We helped get that going, and that was the move. All of a sudden we ended up as the Indianapolis Colts. So we went from Baltimore to Indianapolis at night.
Crazy. That's a crazy story. We're talking to probably the greatest special teams coach ever. Coach Mike Westhoff is joining us right now. What a story that is. Now, what year did you get to Miami? What were your years with the Dolphins? Because you were there with Marino and Shula the whole time. What was your first year with the Dolphins?
Let's see, 86.
86 was your first year.
Yeah, I was there. I went there right after they had lost in the AFC Championship game.
To the Patriots.
They lost the Patriots, and then I went there. After I left the Colts, I was with the Colts when they moved to Indianapolis, and then Frank Tush left the Colts and went back.
Right.
He went to the USFL. He went back out to Arizona, the Arizona Outlaws. I went with Frank as offensive line coach, and then Don Shula got a hold of me, and I went to work for Miami as a tight ends coach and special teams coach.
So you were actually in the USFL for what, a year? A year in the USFL?
1 year, yeah. Doug Williams was our quarterback.
Yeah, I remember, yes. USFL was good. That was good football, coach. It really was.
You better believe it. Yeah, Steve Young was your quarterback.
Yep.
And,
Jim Kelly.
We were loaded. We were loaded with talent.
Yeah.
Reggie White's playing for Memphis.
Yeah.
That's the real deal. We had
Herschel
a
Walker,
great
all of
offensive
that.
line. I had Tom Thayer, was a real good player that played for me. Of course, Doug was our quarterback. Doug Williams went on to be a Super Bowl MVP when he went with Washington. So it was a good year. And then right after that year ended, then I went to Miami, and I started down there with Don Shula and Dan Marino in 86 or 87. And I was there 15 years. So I had a lot of fun there.
So you were there from 86 and your first year with the Jets was 2001, right?
Correct.
From 86 to 2001 with Marino and Shula. Although
Correct.
Marino retired in 99, but you were there for that whole run, 13 years of that, huh?
Yeah, I was there the whole time.
Wow.
I was with Coach Shula when he left, and Jimmy Johnson came in and took over, and I stayed with Jimmy.
Wow.
And I tried to get the head coaching job, which I firmly believe I should have gotten. I didn't get it, and I stayed 1 year, it was miserable. But I had a great year. I had the best special teams year, maybe in NFL history. And then I went to New York, and I loved New York. Herman Edwards was the head coach.
Yep.
Inherited Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick left on a pretty good football team now. We had a lot of good guys, and look at our offense. You got Kevin Mawai's your center.
Yep.
Curtis Martin's your running back. I mean, come on, they're wearing gold jackets, and so Wayne Corbett's the receiver. Lavernius Foles, Santana Moss, Vinny Testaverde, Chad Pennington, and on and on. And on defense, we were loaded. Ellison, Abraham and Ellis. Fergie was a nose tackle. You had Marvin Jones and Mo Lewis. I mean, come on, this is the James Ferrier, Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
It was an excellent football team. We were.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, that Herman quite totally appreciated how good we really were. I'm not sure it's hard. That's the tough thing to say, but we were good. We were a good team that could beat anybody. We just needed to kind of put it all together, and we came close. We came close to doing that very thing, because it was a talented group of players.
I want to go back to this with Herman again. We're talking to Coach Mike Westhoff. Herman took the Jets to the playoffs more than any coach. He took them 3 times to the playoffs. He's the only coach in the history of the franchise to take the Jets 3 times to the playoffs. You say Herman didn't realize how good you guys were. That's an interesting thing to say. Now, one thing, let me say this as a Jet, what kind of Jet fan I am, okay? I always, Herman always said his mantra was you play to win the game. But I thought, Coach, there was a lot of games where Herman played not to lose. I thought he played a little too. You go to the playoff game in Pittsburgh in 2004, the Doug Bryan game, okay? You guys, you lost that game in overtime. Bryan missed the field goals and all that. But I thought he played that game. And I know Pennington was banged up a little in that game too. But I thought he played that game much too conservative. You obviously remember that game in Pittsburgh 2004 when he lost to the Steelers.
I wrote a whole chapter on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't. Here's the thing, in my opinion, I'll disagree with you in the fact that I don't think he played it that way. I think he was, in some ways, he was clueless.
Really?
He didn't call a play. He never called a play.
Paul Hackett called the plays, right?
He
Paul
didn't call
Hackett
the
was
play.
the
He
offensive
he
coordinator.
wasn't telling them to run the ball. Herm was just standing there watching the game. He didn't have anything to do with it. That just
Wow.
wasn't his philosophy. In my opinion, when I say he didn't realize that, that's a little bit of a harsh thing to say. He wasn't really very well prepared in some of the head coaching roles that you have to have, clock management, timeouts. Herm
Right.
did a great job of pushing turnovers and penalties and things. The penalties, I ran the referees, not him. I hired them all. I did it. I took charge of all that. And he
Wow.
never said a word to anything I ever did. He just didn't do it. The game that we wanted to get into that first playoffs, and we had to go out to Oakland and play the game that changed after 9/11.
Right.
Okay.
2001, John Hall.
Yeah. So we kicked the great field goal. We
Right.
blocked the punt. Chris Hayes blocks the punt to give us a chance. Now we're driving down the field. Herman's screaming at Paul Hackett to throw a Hail Mary. He didn't call a field goal. I called the field goal. I sent it on. I told him, get out, let me do it. I sent the field goal out.
Wow.
He didn't stop me, but he couldn't stop me. And we kicked the longest field goal they ever kicked.
So let me just stop you, Coach, because this is very interesting to me. So the 2001 last game of the year, you guys beat the Raiders to get into the playoffs. John Hall with that 53-yard field goal, whatever it was, to win it. Herman is saying in that spot he wanted to throw a Hail Mary, and you're telling him, wait a minute, Hall can make this kick. Let's kick the field goal. That's interesting, Coach.
You're being way too kind. That's not how it happened at all.
Well, tell me how it is. Tell me, please.
You'd be right under a lot of circumstances, but you're really not. He's yelling for the Hail Mary. I sent the field goal team on. I didn't ask them.
So Herman's
I called it. I sent them on the field and told him this is what we're going to do. I don't care what anyone tells you. That's how it happened.
Wow. So he was going to have Pennington throw the ball into the end zone. And you said nothing. You didn't even ask him. You just sent Hall out there for the kick, and that was the end of it.
That's correct.
Wow.
I went to John as we were driving. I grabbed John Hall before. I said, John, this is you. You're the only one to make this kick. And John Hall knew. See, John Hall could smack the ball now. He had a great leg. He was
no question.
He could pound it. Yep. I knew he could make that kick. I don't think anybody ever made a field goal that long in that stadium. It was right. It was low. It had a sloppy field.
Yep.
Yes. And he's screaming for Hail Mary. No, that's not the way it happened. It happened just the other way. Wow. I called it, sent it in, and we kicked it. So, yeah, he'd argue with you on that. Go ahead. I don't care. I'm just telling you what happened.
Wow, that's true. So, all right, I love this stuff. This is great, Coach. So, okay, so let me go. So, Hall kicks the field goal. What does Herman say to you after Hall kicked the field goal, or did he say anything to you?
Not one word.
Wow. Wow.
I wasn't, in those days, we all had our roles. I knew what mine was. I didn't need, nobody was going to, I ran that part of the game. I did it. It's my job. I wasn't stepping on anyone's toes. Maybe I did. Right. I don't really care. I knew we could make the kick, and the kick was the way to win the game. Now, when I sent it out, he could have stopped it. He could have probably gone and stopped it. He did not. I think to his credit, I'll say the fact I give him credit for this. He probably looked at it and went, Mike's probably right here. Let's see what happens. He probably did that. I can't tell you what he was thinking. I'll be honest with you, I didn't care. I knew that would win the game. The game you talked about in Pittsburgh, I went to them. We had intercepted the ball. We ran a punt return in that game for a touchdown.
Yeah, Santana Moss. And a pick by Reggie Tongue for a touchdown, too.
Got the ball. Right. We had the chance. I let him know, you've got to get the ball inside the 20-yard line, or we cannot make this kick.
Right.
We're handling the ball off, doing nothing, and then we take a knee and lose 2 yards.
Yep.
O'Brien did not have the power in that wet, crummy stadium to make that field goal, and he missed it. And so I was furious. That's a game we should have won because we were good football.
Yeah, no, you definitely should have won that game. We're talking to Coach Mike Westhoff, who's giving me some very interesting stuff. So you were with Herman that whole time, right? You were with Herman the whole time he was there.
Right.
What was did you have a good relationship with him? It sounds like you guys didn't get along great.
I did. No, that's not true. I did have a good relationship. He was good to talk to. But what Herman was not, he really wasn't involved. Say whatever you want. He really wasn't a game planner. He'd be involved in the defensive stuff, really, but only to a degree.
Right.
He didn't call plays. He didn't do any of that. He did a good job with the team and the guys of keeping their spirits up and discipline and not having turnovers. And he talked a lot about that. And he did a good job with that. He really did. But other things he really did not. He wasn't the guy. And as far as managing the clock in the game, he was very average at it. I mean, I helped him, but I should have done a better job. I didn't do a great job of helping. I could have been better. I wish I had, maybe a little more forceful and tried to get him to practice some of those things better. We weren't as good as that as we should have been. I'll take a little bit of that blame being an assistant head coach. But, again, I'm not the head coach, so it wasn't all me. But there were a lot of things he did well. There's some things he did pretty well. But there's a lot of things that he watched. I'm just tell you the truth. That's the reality. Say what you want. And he fired way too many coaches. Every time you turn around, we fired somebody. I mean, you don't have to be Sherlock Holmes if you don't understand what that was all about.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you. You got to figure it out.
Well, so okay. So why? Let me ask you this: all the years you're a tremendous special teams coach, all the years in the NFL. Why did you felt you should have got the Dolphin job after Jimmy Johnson left? Why did you think you never got that head coaching opportunity?
Well, and I'll make no excuses. Well, the Jimmy Johnson thing, I was very well prepared. I was the guy, had a good plan also. But Jimmy had his buddy Dave Onstead. I hate to say his name, and he got the job. I stayed. Right. He didn't want me to stay, but he had to keep me. And I had the best special teams year maybe in NFL history, so it worked out pretty well for him. I didn't get that. I really didn't have a viable chance. Then after Herman got let go, I interviewed for the job, and Terry Bradway interviewed me. Mike Tannenbaum was there, and Woody Johnson. Mm-hmm. As Terry Bradway told me that I didn't do a very good job, but he didn't interview me. He was interviewing himself because he knew he was going to get fired. But that deal was done. Mike had worked out that deal to get his buddy Eric Mangini, that they had known each other, and then Mike and Terry Bradway switched roles. Now, the only person that switched any role better than that, you're going to probably have to go talk to Houdini while he got out of the jar. That would be a better move than to make that move, what they did. So I really wasn't in a great position to get it. I know this. Did I present the best case? Maybe I didn't. I probably did not. But I knew how to figure it out. I worked with Don Shula all those years. I learned something about being a head coach. I worked with Jimmy Johnson. He had a total different approach, but I learned something from him. Anything that I was asked to do in the NFL, I did at a very high level. I would have done the same thing. Am I bitter? No, I'm not. Since sometimes when those things were going on, I had other issues in my life. I'm trying to get out of the hospital.
Right.
I'm at Sloan Kettering. So it's a little different deal for me than maybe someone else. So those things bypassed me, but that's okay. I don't believe it defined my career in the NFL. I love what I was able to do. I'm proud of it. I worked for some good people. Herman did a lot of things well. He really did. So even though I may be a little critical in some areas, there's some other things that I think he did a very good job of.
Talking to the great special teams coach, Mike Westhoff. All right, very interesting stuff you're giving me here, Coach. A couple things that I want to get to. First of all, how's your health now? Because I know many years on the sideline. I know you had some issues with your health. You had the cane you were walking around with for a while. How's your health now, Coach?
No, I'm doing great. I'm fine. I went through those. I kept breaking my graft. I had a very, very difficult surgery. Extremely. Right, okay. My left leg is almost entirely metal.
Wow.
Sloan Kettering invented what I have.
Wow.
Yeah, the first surgery I had to put in was 12 hours. Wow. So I had tough surgery. And then I live a normal life. I kept playing golf at one time. I've had to kind of slow down on that, but I couldn't do some things. So I learned how to go whitewater rafting. So I do that all over the place. I ride my bike. I have a boat and I go fishing, but I only fish for sharks. I don't kill them, but I can catch them. So here I'm pulling a 6-foot shark out of the water. Now, trust me, I let them go. I released them. And I know how to do it, but I put a tremendous stress on my leg and my graft. So I kept breaking them. You know, the guys that invented this stuff want to kill me, but it worked. And yeah, I had to use a cane. I had to walk with a brace. I did all that. But the way I believed is that this is what I have. I can't change it. I'm going to live with it, and I'm going to make the best of it. Because I have to coach with a cane, so what? I don't care. I'll walk with a cane. I can coach as good as anyone's ever done it. I can walk with a cane. I can still get a date, so shoot me. This is how I live my life. This is what I believe in, and I'm proud of that. And the players looked at me that way. They looked at me and say, I have tremendous respect for the players. And I love them, but I'm tough on them. I'm really hard, but I love them. And I also know what they go through, because you see, I spent a lot of my life being a little bit uncomfortable, like every single day. So I get it, and I can relate to that. And that's why I have a level of respect for them. And I think you see it back as how they treated me. So for me, it was just a matter of, I didn't do anything that so many people in America are faced with. Like, how many waiting rooms, x-ray rooms at Sloan Kettering do you think in my life I sat in? And I watched a family come in knowing that their 10-year-old son just had this crazy 10-hour surgery. And I sat there and looked at those people. I have a very distinct impression of what life is like. And that's how I didn't do anything that so many people didn't have to do, but I wasn't going to let it define me or change me. And that's how I was able to do that. And I did it in the middle of the National Football League. So I'm proud of it.
Wow, interesting stuff. All right, I got to go back to this stuff with the Jets because it's fascinating to me. All right, so you were there for Herman. You went to the playoffs 3 times. You were there for Mangini. You went to the playoffs once. Should have been twice. The Favre year turned out to be a disaster. And you were there with Rex for the back-to-back AFC championship games. Of those 3 guys, which guy did you think was the best head coach of those 3? I'm going to ask you that. Can you give me that answer?
Absolutely, Rex.
Rex was the best.
Absolutely.
Okay, and well, I loved Rex, but tell me why.
Each one. Let me just be a little bit kind. Herman had a particular way, and a way with players that was very good.
Right.
Herman did a nice job with that. As far as running a lot of situations, game planning, that was not his strength. It just wasn't. Eric came in. Eric dealing with the players and some things like that was not as good. He just wasn't. A lot of times he spoke down to them. You know, he tried to be a little bit of a Bill Belichick, and only one guy can be Bill Belichick.
Yeah, you got that right.
You got to have that genius, and you got to be a pain in the neck. Bill's pretty good at those 2 things.
Yeah.
He can do that pretty well. Okay. Yep. Eric, and running practices and things like that, was terrible. We beat the guys to death. He pushed them way too hard. Where he was really good was setting things up, game planning, situations. Eric was excellent. He was good. He was on top of it. We did a tremendous job in those things. Now, as time went on, he backed down a little bit, and it helped us, really helped us. And so I personally don't believe that he should have been relieved after the Brett Favre thing. I think he should have kept the job. And I wrote about that. I wouldn't have fired him. I thought he did a good job. And we were 8-3. And then Brett got hurt, and we collapsed, and we ended up 9-7. You can't do that. That's a terrible collapse. A lot of times, I think Eric got let go. Sometimes he couldn't get out of his own way, and he did some things that irritated people. That's a shame. But I think as time would go on, he would mature and get to be a better and better coach. I'm shocked that he hasn't gotten back in, because I think he'd be a very good addition to someone's staff. I mean, I think he did a lot of things well. And as he developed and got more mature, I think he did better and better and better. And he worked hard at situations. He was much better prepared for that than Herman was. Now, Rex came in, and Rex did a pretty good job with that stuff. But Rex kind of split it all up and took everybody into account and kind of managed it all. He let Mike Pettin was a very good defensive coach.
Right.
Let me handle everything I did. We had a good officiating setup. Rex got involved with that. And then Rex inherited very good football team. And what John Gruden told me one time was the best NFL coaching staff he ever saw.
Wow. Wow. That's
Don't forget,
quite,
our
that's,
offensive line coach, Bill Callahan.
yeah. Yeah.
You look at the names of guys on that staff. It was a good group. We had good football players. You know, we had LaDainian Tomlinson running the ball.
Yeah.
We had Alan Faneca blocking for him. Damian Woody, Nick Mangold, the Brickishaw Ferguson. Yeah, Mark was our quarterback, Mark Sanchez. But Mark did a good enough job managing that type of team. And if you had that, you remember we led the league in rushing.
Yep. Yep.
Defense, we were always in the top 3.
Yep.
I had an all-star team. We were good. You know,
I know.
we put Darrell Revis on one side of the field, and Rex could put everybody on the other. And
Yeah.
okay, go ahead, let's play. I'm ready. I mean, so it was a fun team to be a part of, a fun team. So I think in that regard, Rex handled that situation and how he did it, and the way he did some things very, very well. I mean, I'll give you an example. I was always in charge of officiating. I hired the guys. And we had hired 2 ex-NFL guys and then had a couple guys go from our practice field into the NFL. Wayne Mackey, God rest his soul, he died just recently, and Jimmy Quirk went from our practices to the NFL. And they're pretty good. Okay. I had a high school official, a guy named Bob Miller. He's a golf pro, owns a little golf course.
I want to stop you for a second because one thing. So you would bring in officials to officiate practices and all this type of thing. Is that what? Right? Am I correct saying that?
I got that. I wanted to be in charge of it. So when I got there, I kept a couple guys that Parcells had hired, and then I hired more. And I hired really good high school guys or college guys. I spent a tremendous amount of time back then at 280 Park Avenue. I'd get on the train. I'd go down and I'd sit in there with Mike Pereira, who became a very good friend of mine.
Right.
I learned how they officiate. I wrote a report on each officiating crew that I would give to the players during the week. I did that. For my first 8 years at the New York Jets, 8, we were the least penalized team in the NFL.
Wow.
Least. You wonder why we won some games? Maybe we weren't too stupid. Now, Herman was good with that. Herman pushed that. He liked that. And he gave it to me, let me handle it. And he did a nice job with it. He let me do it. And he believed in it. All right, so then with Rex, it was a little bit more reckless on defense. We weren't quite as good with that, but still. But anyway, we hired this guy who officiated our practices. And then I gave him an assignment to study NFL crews in challenges. So he studied everybody, every referee, and he would travel with us. And when there was a challenge, Rex would confer with him. And he would tell him, Rex, you can't challenge this. It's not going to happen. Over that period of time, the New York Jets had the highest success percentages on challenges in the National Football League. We were first.
Wow.
Wonder why we won some games? Maybe we did a couple little things pretty doggone well. And Rex was involved in all of that. He believed in it. He got involved in it himself. Now, Rex could game plan. Rex could call those defenses. That's not Herman's strength.
Right.
Rex was good. He could do that. And he let me take my part. He led the offense, and we were going to run the ball. We had a formula. We're going to run the ball, play action pass, and that's how we were going to try to win football games. That's who we were. We weren't the New England Patriots, South Branch, that Mike Tannenbaum tried to turn us into, and that just didn't work. And next thing you know, it collapsed, and it still has never gained any momentum. But that's who we were. So if I had to answer your question, I'm going to take Rex. He did a nice job with that.
Well, I was a big fan of Rex, and I want to go back to again, we're talking to Coach Mike Westhoff, and it's a fascinating interview. You got to get his book, figure it out, because this is good stuff. I want to go to the 2010 team was one of the best teams in the history of the franchise. Okay, you guys, you go in, you beat Peyton Manning in Indianapolis. Nick Folk kicks the field goal to win it at the end. Tremendous win, right? Last game ever for Peyton.
And Antonio Clary, when Brad Smith gets hurt, runs the kickoff return over 50.
Yep, that's set up. That's 100%.
And they made the terrible mistake of kicking the ball to our bench. They should have never done that one. But I knew as soon as I saw him line up, I signaled where to run it, and I knew I had him. We run it up to there. We get a first down. We kick the field goal, and we move on. That was the fun part of the job I had.
Yeah. Well, that was a great
Yeah.
win. All right. So you win that game. Last game ever for Peyton Manning as a Colt, by the way.
That's right.
And then you guys go to Foxborough in one of the best wins in the history of the franchise. You stick it to Belichick and Brady. A tremendous win. Now you're going to Pittsburgh for the championship game. Was there a major letdown after the Patriot game, Coach? I mean, because I got that feeling that's exact. You guys were down 24-0 in Pittsburgh before you could turn around. I mean, was there a major letdown there?
I don't believe that, but yet it really appeared to be. We had a big argument. I was involved in it. We made some activation issues. Mike came in, and I'll never forget it. Talked about, he was with Rex. Some guy said he felt that we had to have on offense.
Okay.
And my argument was, well, how many plays are they going to play? Because you're talking about taking some guys away from me that have really helped us. One of the guys they were taking away from me was John Connor. Remember the fullback?
Yeah, the big fullback.
The Terminator.
Yeah. The Terminator.
Well, if you remember earlier that year, we went into Pittsburgh and we had to win that game.
Yep.
We opened the game with a 96-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. How do you think we won the game? And that got us up, and Pittsburgh never could catch up. Anyway, so all of a sudden, like I told them, I said, look, you're going into Pittsburgh. This is going to be a street fight. This is a fight. And you're taking away one of our toughest guys to put this guy in who's going to play whatever plays. Oh, they really need him. I'll never forget this. We had 3 players they were arguing for that I disagreed with. They wrote the number on my board, 3. So you only got 3 guys, Mike. I said, okay. I went over and I put an equal sign, and I drew a great big 9 on my chalkboard. I underlined it. I said, those 3 guys will not play 9 total plays between them. I said, I'm going to bet you. I said, you're going to change the roster. They're not going to play 9. They played 7. I was right. Wow. I left that 9 on my board the whole year. No wonder the personnel guys would come into my office. They hated me. But I was tough. I fought back at them. And I used to have a sign in my office that said, you know that I know that you don't know. They didn't like that. I mean, I know I can be arrogant, but I was a fighter. And I'm going to fight for my people, these guys. And I believe, and Rex did a great job of it. But to be honest, at the point in time, he didn't fight quite as hard as I wish he had. And we changed from this type of team to a team that still hasn't won a playoff game.
Yeah, no, I know. Won one, never been one. We haven't been to one, Coach. Forget about winning.
Been in one. So you can say it however you want, but that's the reality. And that football team that you're talking about was a great, great football team. Remember that game? We came back and we had a chance at the end.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We fought back. But you can't get down that big playing a championship game on the road. You can't let it happen. I mean, look at Boston last night. Tried to go to Golden State and get down like everything. They're going to come back.
Yeah.
That game's over. You better hope. In the NBA, they got another one. We didn't have another one. So, but you were right. That team was a great team. And that was a team that really a fun group to be with. A really fun group to be with.
Did you think that, and again, we're talking to Coach Mike Westhoff, just tremendous stuff here, Coach. I like, look, to me, you say whatever you want about Mark Sanchez. The guy won more playoff games than anybody in any quarterback in Jet history. 4 playoff games on a road that he won. Like I said, he beat Manning and Brady back-to-back weeks. Was he coached correctly in your mind? Did they handle Sanchez properly in your mind?
It's a good question. And I'm going to say in some ways, yes, because when Mark was put in the role of managing and being in a situation of play action pass, et cetera, a good football team that could run the ball, Mark was a very efficient quarterback. And I've been critical sometimes of Mark, but it's not just the Mark. It's the fact of the situation that he was in. When he was in the right situation, Mark could get the job done. Was he Tom Brady? No, he was not. It didn't happen. It never happened in his career, anywhere he went. He was what he was. In that role, Mark was very, very good, but you had to keep him there. Like I thought we made the mistake of giving him that big contract extension. He still had time on his hand. It was a very fair deal. I remember talking to Mike and saying, why would we do this? His answer was, this is what a championship game quarterback must be paid. I said, well, if he was the reason we got there, I'd agree with you. He was on the bus. He sure as hell wasn't driving. But he was on the bus. When you had him on the bus and he was in a particular role and you kept that team alive, or if it wasn't LaDainian Tomlinson, it was Thomas Jones.
Yep.
You know, it was DeBrickashaw Ferguson, Nick Mangold, Alan Faneca. He's a Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Damian Woody. Those guys could knock your teeth out. That's the team we were. To see us in another realm is a total. You want to know the total point of the coaching, if you want to put it there, to change that, you got no chance. That's who we were. And when Mark was part of that, he was very efficient.
I want to move on to the next year because you were there till 2012, right? If I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
right? All right, 2011, you guys are 8-5 and you collapse to 8-8 and don't make the playoffs.
Right.
I got the impression, like I said, the kind of fan I am. Something happened with Sanchez. Was he undermined by Plaxico Burress and Santonio Holmes? What went on with that?
I don't know enough about that to say. I kind of like Santonio, although I thought when we gave him that contract.
Yeah, you should never paid him. I absolutely.
I loved him, but I always wanted to keep a tight leash on him.
Yep.
Because he could get off the ranch.
Well, he was never the same. Coach, when that first year when he was there in 2010, he was tremendous. And then you guys gave him the big contract, and he wasn't the same guy anymore.
To me, I would have thought that I wanted to make sure he gets paid, but I want him to be paid where every week he's still got the leash on him.
Right.
I'm not a Plaxico Burress guy. I just not because he missed too much practice. Every time I turn around, he's standing over there by me, and that bothers me. You know, I'm a guy that goes back to my days at Miami.
Right.
Dan Marino had a sign in his locker. Okay. And the sign said, I'm going to practice every day and play every play. I'm going to practice every day and play every play. And until he tore his Achilles up in Cleveland, Dan Marino never missed a practice or a game.
Yep.
Ever.
Wow.
See, that's the guy that I want on my football team. I want that guy. I don't want the guy that's never practices. So I'm not a Plaxico Burgess guy. It's just me. I'm just not. So you can say whatever you want. I thought that whole movement took away the realm and the strength of what the New York Jets were. And to me, we were the team that exemplified. This is how I feel. We exemplified the Jets fan. The Jets fan is the tough guy. This is the guy that works at the bar. He owns the bar. He's the policeman. He's the fireman. That's who they are. I remember standing outside of Penn Station one night in the winter. All right. I was with my girlfriend. We were going to dinner. And I'm standing outside of Penn Station waiting to catch a cab. All right. And these guys came by. It was a Friday night. It was real cold. I had a top coat on and my hat. You know, it's freezing cold. And these guys recognized me. And they came over and started talking. And they were, talking about, they had been out having a few drinks after work, I'm sure. But, they were pretty loud and talking to me. And they said, Coach, what are you doing here? I said, well, we're waiting to get a cab. There's a restaurant we like to go to on the Upper East Side. We're headed there. He said, well, why are you waiting for a cab? Why aren't you in a limo? I said, the Giants ride around in limos. I'm a Jet. I get a cab. Everybody else. They loved it. And so to me, and I mean no disrespect. That's who the Jets are. That's the way I saw it. And that's kind of me. That's who I am. I don't ride around limos.
Right.
Yeah, I have enough money today. I could probably get one, but no, that's what I believe that. And so I loved being a part of that. And that football team exemplified that like few others could. Because when you played us, you better put your chin strap on, buddy, because we're going to knock your head off. That's the kind of team we were. That's how we could go out to San Diego, remember, and beat that really good team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tremendously.
We kept that quarterback on the bench. We went for it on fourth down.
Yep.
And we won the game. That's
Thomas
who we
Jones.
were. So now you're going to tell me we're going to change this? We're going to become something else? That Jet team was the New York Jets.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. All right. This is fascinating, Coach. This is fascinating stuff. Believe me, I go all day with you with this stuff. You were with Marino and Shula. A lot of really good teams with Marino and Shula, even though you didn't win. You know, you went to the championship game. You lost to Buffalo in '92, where they ran the ball down your throat. And I think they rushed for 300 something yards in that game. The Bills,
Right.
something like that. But a lot, you know, you're in the playoffs just about every year. The one year you lost to the Bills in the snow in Buffalo in 1990, that 44-34 game. Of all the teams, was that Jet team in 2010, 09, and 10, was that the best teams you ever were with in your career?
That's a good question. I have to say, no, it was not, because the quarterback, Mark was really good, but Mark wasn't the guy that could carry us.
He wasn't Marino.
There were a couple of Marino teams that were better. And then, of course, that New Orleans Saints team that I was with in 17-18.
Oh, that's right, too, right? With Breeze, right.
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty good. And so those teams, I'd have to say, were maybe a little better. But that Jet team could have beaten either one of those teams if they had played that style of game, and they'd have kept Marino on the bench, and they'd have kept Drew Brees on the bench. And they'd have run the ball, control the clock, short passing game, occasionally throw deep to spread them out, because Mark could do that. Mark had a strong arm. He could fire that ball. He sent Braylon Edwards down the field. That was a good weapon. So even though I wouldn't say it was the best team, that team could have beaten either one of those great Miami or Drew Brees quarterback teams. So answer your question, I love that New York Jet football team because of who it was. When it tried to go another direction, zero chance.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you were there. That's right. So you were with the Saints when they got hosed in 2018 with that, non-call on what should have been pass interference that wound up costing you going to the Super Bowl. So you were there.
I was there. You can read all about
it. How bad was that? I mean, really, how? Because you dealt with these officials. I can't stand the officiating in the NFL. I don't trust these guys at all. They can make a call any freaking time they want. I don't like the officials in the National Football League. I've been on record as saying that for a long time. I don't trust them at all, Coach. Okay.
That's you. I won't go on that. I won't go on that line.
Well, I'm a fan. You're not.
No,
you
I understand. I understand. That was just a bad call. In my opinion, that was the worst officiating call in sports history. No, don't get me wrong. I didn't say NFL history. I said sports.
I heard you.
Any sport.
Right.
Because of what the ramifications of it.
Yeah.
We're going to go to the Super Bowl. Man, not only was it pass interference, the guy got fined like $25,000 the next day for helmet to helmet.
Right.
He got fined. I mean, how can you do that? How can you find a guy and throw the flag?
Yeah.
How smart is that? So that was a terrible, terrible call. And it's a game that I think we should have won in several ways, but that really was a mess. And that was a very good football team. Mike Thomas was healthy. Drew was healthy. Barlow was playing. Our defense had gotten better. I had a really good group. I finished first in the NFL at special teams, so we were pretty good. That's for sure. And it was a team that could beat anybody. And that was the team that I knocked on the door 5 times, and I didn't get to go. I would have loved to gone with that one. And then there's a couple with Marino I could have gone with, and then those two groups of the championship games with the Jets. They could have all been Super Bowl contenders and Super Bowl winners, in my opinion.
Who was the best? And again, we're talking to Coach Mike Westhoff. Just fascinating stuff. The best special, not necessarily kick returner.
Okay.
The best special teamer that you ever had was who? He doesn't have to just be a kick returner, just special teamer, period, was who?
Okay, good, really good question. Really good. And I have to look at it in a little different way because they come in different roles.
Right.
I'll keep the returners out of it. Okay. Just a coverage guy that could make plays, that could, block a kick. So I got to go back to Miami with 2 guys. Larry Izzo, they end up in the Patriots. When I went out and signed him, he's a linebacker, 5'9.5", 213 pounds. Read all about him. He's now the coordinator at Seattle. You know what Larry told me 2 weeks ago? He said he bought 25 copies of my book. He said, I'm going to give it to every player that we have. He said, because I want them to understand the way the National Football League was really played.
Wow.
He said he bought 25. He said, I
Wow.
loved it. He said, Mike, we were the real deal. We were tough. And so that's pretty cool. Bernie Parmalee back then was the same type of guy. With the New York Jets, I'll pick two. I'll pick two. One, Chris Hayes.
Right.
Remember Chris in the early days? He was one of Parcells' guys.
Yep.
Chris, the guy that blocked the punt in that game that took us in the playoff. Chris is the guy. Chris was involved in 2 blocked punts that year. Without those plays, the New York Jets never go to playoffs. They never go. So those guys. Both Eric Smith and Brad Smith had specific roles that really were top special teams guys that could do a lot. That could really make a lot of plays. And then a linebacker that I had with the Jets, most people would not know a lot about him, was Kenyatta Wright. Now, Kenyatta Wright could knock your head right off. I mean, he was as tough a guy as there was. He was a great New York Jet because he's the kind of guy that, to me, was what I wanted that football team to be. So, I've got a handful. They were all, each one's a little different. And then, of course, Taysom Hill, when I was with the Saints, who could play for any and was, in my opinion, that year in 2018, he was the best special teams player in the NFL.
He was a good player. I tell you, talk about an all-around. You talk about like in the days with Cordell Stewart when he was Slash back in Pittsburgh. Well,
Right.
Taysom Hill probably takes that to a different level of Slash, doesn't he?
He takes it to another level. You're 100% correct.
Good stuff. Wow. I tell you, Coach, just tell us again, because we could go all day here with this. I don't want to keep you forever. So Figure It Out is the book. Tell everybody again where we can get it. It'll be out on July 12th in all the bookstores. But tell everybody right now if they want to pre-order how they can get it.
Yeah, you can get. It's not even a pre-order. You can order it if you order it through the publisher. The publisher is Mascot Books, MASCOT. You go on the computer, Mascot Books, put in the title, Figure It Out. It'll give you 2 types. You can buy a hard copy, or they call it a soft cover. It's not a paperback, just a little different, and it's a little different in price. And they'll deliver it to your house. They'll deliver it to you. Or you can go online and pre-order it through Barnes & Noble or through Amazon. And then as of July 12th, that's where it'll be available in the stores. But most people now have bought it through the publisher. In fact, they've had to reprint because it's come out pretty well. It's a good story. And we conducted interviews. Barry Wilner, who's a writer, very good writer, helped me. Now, I wrote every word, but I set the interview up. I did not want to interview the players. I didn't want to do that. So he did it. He would record the interview, and then as I sent him material, he would put bits and pieces in. You're going to hear me tell the story, and then you're going to hear Leon Washington tell you about what we did and how we did it. And I think that's what is really special, because you're not just listening to me, you're listening to them talk about it. And so that's what I think makes it a little bit of a different book. And I think people will get a very good view of a part of the game that went from kind of obscurity to prominence, and now has drifted back to not a level of obscurity, but certainly of dilution. It's diluted. That's the reality.
Leon Washington, boy, he was a tremendous player until he tore his knee up. That was a shame what happened. He was a great player. Oh, man.
Now he's coaching with the Jets.
Is he coaching now? I didn't know that.
He's assistant special teams.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's on the Jets staff.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Huh. Leon was a good player.
They sent me a picture. The guy sent me a picture the other day of Leon Washington at his desk in his office. And behind him, he had 2 bobbleheads, one of him and one of me.
Well, I didn't even know you had a bobblehead. Coach, you got your own bobblehead. That's pretty good.
I do have it. Yes, I do. That's pretty cool. I was proud of it. But anyway, you're going to hear him talk about how we taught kickoff return. Listen to how he describes it. Not just me. Listen to what Leon does. And he led the league.
Yeah, he was great. And you had a lot of, look, I mean, you had Chad Morton, you had Leon, you had Brad Smith, you had Santana returning punts. I mean,
Joe McKnight.
Who's that? I'm sorry?
Joe McKnight.
Oh, Joe McKnight, the late Joe McKnight. Right,
Joe McKnight.
Yeah, he was
Joe McKnight is
terrific. Yep.
Joe was a good man.
Yep.
Good man. Yeah. So I had a good group. We did it right and we did it well, and it worked. It worked. It helped us win some games.
Unbelievable. You know, before I let you go, one more thing. I just got to ask you again, because like I said, I could go all day with this stuff. The year with Favre in 2008, Favre got hurt, collapsed. Like you said, you guys were 8-3. You'd beaten Tennessee. They were unbeaten. You guys killed them in Tennessee.
We beat New England.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, you guys were rolling.
We were good.
Favre gets hurt. You knew Favre was hurt because he wanted to keep that streak. Could anybody go up to him and say, maybe you shouldn't be, you're hurting the team by playing right now?
That's a tough question. I'll be honest with you. I don't have the answer to that. I don't know. I know Brett, Brett was such a gunslinger and such a fighter that, it's hard to not give that guy the opportunity because you don't know what that guy's going to do. And he was close. It just hurt. He couldn't make the throws that he had once made. And it really, did we have a viable option? I don't
really.
know if we did, Joe. I'm not really sure we did. I don't think we did at that time, because he was something special. And so it's just a tough set of circumstances. I have tremendous respect for his work ethic, watch him on the field every day. He was fun to be around. He just, he had that charisma about him. And we kind of surrounded him with the right guys. So that was a good football team that could have gone. It's a shame what happened, and but that's part of there's lots of stories like that in the NFL. They happen every year.
Yeah. Who's better, Marino or Favre in your mind?
No, Marino. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I'm just asking. I just want to see what you would say.
Just different guys. Both tremendous. Both Hall of Famers. Both there. And I had Drew Brees too.
Right. That's right. That's right.
I love Marino, and I was there and watched what he did. I know how hard he worked. I saw what he did every day. Each one of those guys is different. They're all Hall of Famers. They're all tremendous. To rank them is very, very difficult because I think each one brings a certain thing to the table, and that's where their strength lies. So, you're really, and plus when you look at different levels of play, I think that's hard to rank people. Guys are playing at a different time, but the game changes. Right. You have to be able to change with the game. So I was fortunate to be able to watch those three guys, and they were all great. They're all Hall of Famers, of course. Drew will go in very shortly. So it was a real fun to be around. So yeah, I mean, I was at the Miami Dolphin practice the other day. Somebody was talking to me about the quarterback play, and I was a little disappointed, to be honest with you. I wasn't being critical of it because it's only a mini camp. But I said, it's not like I haven't seen a pretty good offensive practice in my day, because I have, guys. I watched Marino's whole career. I watched Brett Favre. Also, I saw a pretty doggone good Vinny Testaverde and Sam Pennington.
Yeah, no, you did.
I saw some pretty quarterback play there, and then Drew Brees. So it's not like I don't know what an offensive practice is supposed to look like. I kind of do, and I.
So you're not too high on Tua Tagovailoa then, right?
No. I just saw some things that I was disappointed in. I want to see how it moves on as time progresses with this new offense, and it's not fair to really say that I'm being critical because, but the day that I was there was a very unproductive practice. And so do I think he can get it done? To be honest with you, I'm not sure. Sure.
Interesting. Coach, great stuff. I can't thank you enough, man. We could do it all day with doing this because I could go on and on. I mean, boy, well, look, 30 years, you're the best special teams coach. When you think of special teams coaches, Coach, it's you. I mean, I don't even know who the next guy would be, but, it's definitely you. I really appreciate you so much coming on. Again, the book is Figure It Out. Fascinating stories. You got to check it out. Coach, I can't thank you enough. I mean, it was an honor having you on.
Yeah, there's the Jets. You're as knowledgeable as anybody's ever going to be on the Jets. Wow, you've rattled stuff off. You got it.
Coach, I got scars. No, Coach, I have scars on my body from this franchise. I have hemorrhoids from this franchise.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Yeah, let me ask you one more thing because I got to ask you. I got a lot of concerns about the coach of my team now, Robert Saleh. Do you like this guy? What do you think of this guy?
Honestly, I don't know enough. I don't know enough. I do think this. I'll say this. I don't study it like I did when I was in the media. So it's unfair for me to say.
Okay.
I think he needs to be a little bit more, this is my opinion, a little more demonstrative during the game. A little bit. I don't want a cheerleader.
Right.
I want to see a little more involvement. That's my opinion. The second thing, though, I will say this. I think the Jets are as well prepared today as I've seen them in 10 years.
Wow.
I think they're ready. Whether it's going to happen, because the first part of that schedule, Joe, is brutal.
Yeah, they're going to play the whole AFC North to start the year.
It's brutal.
Yep.
Okay, but I think this is a pretty well-prepared football team, what they've done in the offseason and the draft. I think this, if I were a Jets fan, I'd be a little bit excited. I'm going to be in the stands rooting them on, but I think they're going to have a chance. I'll be very disappointed if that doesn't happen.
Well, from your lips to God's ears, Coach, we can only hope that that's what it's going to be. Coach, I can't thank you enough. We'll have to have you on again, man. Are you going into the media? You going to be doing TV anymore, or you're done with that?
No, I'm done. I'm done with that. No,
right.
When the book comes out officially everywhere July 12th, and then maybe when it comes out right after that and training camp begins, I'll be happy to come back with you.
Great. Coach, thanks so much. I can't thank you enough. The great Mike Westhoff. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much, Coach.
Okay, Joe. Thank you.
All right, man. Take care.
All right,
Great
bye.
Mike Westhoff. You can't say enough about him. Thank you so much. Coach, take care.
Okay.
Beautiful. All right, I just want to wrap. You still got me recording here? I just want to give a shout out again to our sponsors. I know she's got them on the thing.
Yeah, still recording.
I just want to, again, before I go, let's thank Coach Westhoff. Boy, that was fascinating. Make sure you get the book, figure it out. You can order it now, but it'll be out in all the bookstores on July 12th. Check it out. Boy, he's got some great stories. Again, just want to thank all my sponsors. The list of them all: the Hackensack Brewing Company, Beach Camera, Kenny Zor and KZ Sports Marketing, Blue Hill Golf Course, and of course, Anita Discount Tires. Thank you again, all my sponsors. Thank Coach Mike Westhoff. We'll talk to you on Friday for the next Ode to Pain podcast.